This lesson is going to be about determining name from structure. So the example that we're going to work on is, what would you name NO2? And so the first thing that we need to recognize is that NO2 is a compound because we have more than one element. And so compounds always get an IDE suffix. And this will be added only to the final element. And so that's just one note that we want to make as soon as we see NO2. And so the first step will be to name each element in the compound. And so we can see that we have a nitrogen, and then we have an oxygen. And then the next step is going to be to determine the number of atoms using our Greek prefixes, which we know mono is 1, di is 2, tri is 3, tetra is 4, penta is 5, hexa is 6, hepta is 7, octa is 8, nona is 9, and deca is 10. And so using these prefixes, we can see that we have one nitrogen atom and we have 2 oxygen atoms. So if we look at the oxygen first, 2 means that we're going to have a di prefix. And then also, like we said before, since this is a compound, we're going to have an IDE suffix only on the final element. So, alright, only the final element gets the suffix. So this means that we will not have a suffix for the nitrogen. And then nitrogen, we said, has 1 atom. So we would think that we would use a mono prefix. However, this is not the case. Because we only have 1 atom, and nitrogen is the first element in our name, we will not have a prefix. And the reason for this is because we do not include mono as a prefix when we're naming our first element. And this is only the case for mono and the first element. And so given this, our name is just going to be nitrogen dioxide, which we can see from the little chart that we put together above. It is not going to be mononitrogen dioxide, and that's just like what we just went over, because we do not include mono if it's for the first element. But if there were more than 1 atom in our first element, we would use the Greek prefixes. So again, if there would have been more than 1 nitrogen, then we would have used Greek prefixes. So an example of this would be if we had N2O2. We see that we have 2 nitrogen and 2 oxygen, so this will be dinitrogen dioxide. And then another example, we could say if we just had NO. And so we're back to having 1 nitrogen, and now we only have 1 oxygen. So it follows the same rules as our nitrogen dioxide, where we have nitrogen monoxide as our final name.